bill.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and I will take you up on it, so thank you very much for that. Thank Chairman Bishop, and I thank Ranking Member Grijalva for holding today's important legislative hearing. And thank you very much for kindly inviting me to come to testify on my bill, H.R. 5544, the Minnesota Education Investment and Employment Act. This is an issue of great importance to all Minnesotans, and most importantly to the educational future of Minnesota students. When Minnesota became a state in 1858, Sections 16 and 36 of every township were set aside in trust for the benefit of Minnesota students. The state could use, lease, or sell the land to raise money for education. Then, in the 1970s, the federal government created the Boundary Waters Canoe Area Wilderness. As a result, these lands within the BWCAW cannot be logged, leased, or mined. Far too long, therefore, over 30 years in fact, Minnesota and its students have faced an 86,000-acre problem. The school trust lands were locked within the borders of the Boundary Waters and were unable to produce critical funding for Minnesota public education. It is imperative that we resolve this long-standing problem. As a matter of fact, we are constitutionally bound to do so. Our goal is to preserve and protect the Boundary Waters and to allow state-owned school trust lands to raise revenue for Minnesota education. Minnesota law specifies these lands must earn money for the school trust. The state has a constitutional responsibility to earn a financial return from these lands to fund the educational system. Unfortunately, Minnesota school kids have been cheated out of public education funding for the last 34 years. Now, it's past time to rectify this problem. For the last several years, there have been a number of working groups, studies, and resolutions. Finally, after decades of inactions, stalling, and dilatory tactics, Republicans and Democrats have come together in Minnesota and said enough is enough. In March, an overwhelming majority made of Democrats and Republicans in the state Senate passed the Senate File 1750 by a vote of 53 to 11. And then in April, the House passed a bill of 95 to 33. Shortly thereafter, our Democratic governor, Mark Dayton, enacted the bill. After hearing the strong message sent by elected legislator and the governor, I scrapped my original plan, and I had developed and introduced H.R. 5544 to execute the bipartisan state plan. As such, H.R. 5544 would exchange state-owned school trust lands trapped in the BWCAW for the federal government in exchange for federal government-owned land outside the BWCAW. Moreover, this includes important provisions that will ensure Minnesotans can maintain their existing rights to hunt and fish within the Boundary Waters. In addition, this bill exempts the land exchange process from NEPA. This decision is supported by the Minnesota Department of Natural Resources Commissioner Tom Landwehr. While I generally support the aims of NEPA in many areas, the state of Minnesota has higher environmental standards than the federal government. Moreover, I trust our Democratic governor, Mark Dayton, and the state officials working with the United States Forest Service to execute this exchange in a thoughtful, environmentally responsible manner. Make no mistake, the state-passed bipartisan land exchange is going to get done, and I will not allow special interest groups acting in bad faith to abuse the NEPA process and to use frivolous lawsuits to block and derail this land exchange. If I could trust the special interest groups to act in good faith, and if I could trust the federal bureaucracy to act promptly, I would include NEPA in this legislation. But history has shown us otherwise, and our Minnesota children can't wait any longer. Currently, some schools in Minnesota have classrooms with over 40 kids, and some school districts have been reduced to a 4-day school week. That is not progress. We are doing a disservice to Minnesota school kids and teachers in Minnesota classrooms. This legislation will generate badly needed funding for our schools and create good-paying jobs in Minnesota. Importantly, the Minnesota Education Investment and Employment Act would not eliminate a single acre of Boundary Waters land. In fact, it would add wilderness acres to the existing BWCAW boundaries while giving Minnesota children land that rightfully belongs to them. In close, I thank the U.S. Forest Service for their good suggestions, and I am open to incorporating these recommendations during the markup process. Again, thank you, Chairman Bishop and Ranking Member Grijalva, and all members of the subcommittee for allowing me the opportunity to testify today, and I yield back.